Covering the islands of the Bahamas, ZNS Network presents The Bahamas Tonight.
This portion of the news is brought to you by McDonald's. McDonald's, I'm loving it.
197 Haitian migrants who survived a voyage from Haiti and the threat of Tropical Storm Isaac arrive in the capital tonight as immigration officials prepare for their deportation. Good evening and welcome to the Bahamas Tonight, the National Report. I'm Keishla Adderley. Thanks for joining us. Topping the news tonight, after running aground in waters off Mangrove Key on Saturday, the group of immigrants was flown into the capital around 4:30 this afternoon, as you see here in exclusive ZNS News video. For most of the weekend, officials, depending on vague, unreliable accounts of how many immigrants were on the vessel, rounded up scores of migrants. Many others swam from nearby Linda Key to the Mangrove Key mainland, and still more of them were rescued by Mangrove Key residents from Linda Key, and others tried their best to evade capture. Tonight, we speak with Immigration Minister Fred Mitchell with the latest on this episode.
We were advised that the situation had created a pressure point in Mangrove Key on the community, and rather than allow conditions to deteriorate, we made a decision to move everybody to the detention center. That began this afternoon. It's 197 people that have to be moved, and hopefully that exercise will be finished just about nightfall, and then on Wednesday morning there'll be a jet taking them to Port-au-Prince, so that everybody should be back in Port-au-Prince by Wednesday.
Now, there are fears that some of the immigrants didn't make it to land based on the accounts of the immigrants who said fellow passengers jumped overboard. But up to this point, there have been no reports of any bodies being found. Wary of the frequency with which these smuggling exercises are organized, Minister Mitchell says a criminal investigation will be launched into this latest apprehension, which left Mangrove Key in a state of flux for most of the weekend.
And this matter needs to be treated as a criminal matter, and the person who's identified as the captain, in my view, has to take responsibility for it. So I'm hoping that the police investigate and that the Director of Public Prosecutions finds the evidence to be able to bring an action, because a signal must be sent that this must stop. It's a dangerous journey, it's a foolish journey, and sure as night follows day, they're going back to Haiti.
Conditions weren't nearly as rough on Sunday morning as they were Saturday afternoon and throughout the night in South Andros. But Tropical Storm Isaac wasn't finished with this island yet. But as they dealt with this threat, they were also concerned about a group of immigrants who braved seas at least twice as rough as these, essentially tracing Tropical Storm Isaac's path from Haiti to South Andros. Fierce gale force winds were the feature of Saturday afternoon as police from South Andros headed out on their vessel in search of the grounded Haitian sloop. The numbers were still unclear this afternoon, but officials estimate 160 migrants were apprehended, many of them weak or injured, but survivors of a sea made even more treacherous by a tropical storm this man says they didn't know about. Hey, tell me about the voyage.
Bon, voilà lui-même. Nous sorti nous gain un peu le jour dehors, il était fatigué nous un peu.
Okay, he said it's a very difficult voyage. They had a few good much days out sea, and it was very rough, and it really bothered them a lot because of all the movements, waves, and the condition they were in.
Did you know the storm was coming?
Est-ce que t'es connais si t'es un mauvais temps?
Bon, nous pas connaît.
No, they didn't know that they were having a storm.
It was a rough night for the Mangrove Key community. Police teams led by Adrian Knowles, the inspector from South Andros, headed out into dangerous conditions to rescue the migrants. And those a larger police boat couldn't help were ferried in by residents between Linda Key into the Mangrove Key mainland.
Well, when we initially encountered the group, some of them started to run from us. And as the rain came down and they began to get cold, they started coming out of the bushes. And that was how we were able to capture 83. But information received from one of the Haitian nationals is that there were more still in the bushes.
Yeah, so last night around 11:30 there was a boat down at the other dock on the end of the island. They heard a cry from the other side and they came and told us, and me, myself, Roy Bannister, my cousin, we went over and assisted him along with James Jones.
Some of the women were pregnant. They were among the patients in a makeshift sick bay at the Catholic Center in Mangrove Key. As members of the community helped police with the overwhelming task of security, this immigrant was just happy that he survived. This amidst a harrowing story of apparent suicide on board.
Now, I'm super God. I tell God, thank you, because I ain't dying. Both of them back in life. Thank you, Mom.
So I heard that some people may have jumped overboard. Is that true?
Yeah, it's true, Mom. I see that with one of my eyes. It's true. I can't count, but I see 5.
So what did they say? They just gave up, or what was it?
No, they say they just go back where they come from. You see, when they gone by the sea, they jump over the boat. They just walking in the water. You see, they keep saying goodbye, goodbye. You see, they gone.
Even up to Sunday afternoon, police were planning to head into nearby Linda Key amidst reports that Haitian migrants were still scurrying around the island. It is not clear how many of them were still there. An investigation is ongoing. Now, Minister Mitchell told us the Coast Guard assisted in the rescue from Linda Key and that he's satisfied that all of the migrants are now off the Key. Meantime, the Member of Parliament for South Andros and Mangrove Key, Picewell Forbes, says he plans to visit the constituency along with some of his ministerial colleagues by Wednesday of this week. In other news tonight, a missing fisherman has been found. The fisherman went missing in his dinghy yesterday afternoon, reportedly to retrieve some plywood which had fallen from his boat, the Water Lily, in waters off Ocean Key. A man who identified himself as Captain Sugar telephoned ZNS News this morning, seeking assistance to find Captain Cleveland Bain, who up to this morning hadn't been heard from.
We all come from Beach Key yesterday afternoon together, and we anchored in the back of Ocean Key. And last night after we done anchored, the crew of Water Lily told me that a piece of plywood blew overboard. And his father went to get the piece of wood. That was about, the plywood was about 7 o'clock yesterday afternoon. And he never returned back to the boat. Then he started his little boat, and he went to get the plywood. But he never come back. But they didn't tell me until this morning. The situation is so devious out here. Even no one could go look for him, not from here. The only thing could look for him right now, maybe the chopper. I'm on Ocean Key, where I can't get nobody. I can't reach Cap Key, and my wife is in Andres. And I asked her to call the police there in Andres, and she said the police can call me back, but
now, ZNS News contacted Defense Force officials to report the matter. Happily, this morning, Captain Cleveland Bain turned up in Bimini and reported that all was well and that he was resting. He reported that he could not get his dinghy and dropped anchor until morning. He then made his way inland to Bimini Island. When we first heard about Tropical Storm Isaac approaching the Bahamas, one of the islands that forecasters were concerned most about was Inagua. A ZNS News team was dispatched to the island, but according to our Julian Gibson, it turned out the salt capital didn't have to brave any severe weather.
Residents of Machutown, Inagua, waking up early Saturday morning to what would turn out to be a gloomy day. Winds blowing 35 to 40 knots. Seas raging, splashing against the shoreline. Police out on patrol making their routine checks to make sure that all is in place. A lighthouse. That's the sign for marine boaters to be able to detect where's the landfall of Inagua. But as you can see, no boats out on the open sea. Having made the necessary preparations, residents all prepared to to wait this one out. Now, on a tour of Machutaninagua, we came across a darn utility line that caught fire. BEC crew was able to bring the fire under control. Now, a utility pole close to the graveyard in Machutaninagua collapsed, causing the island to be without electricity and water for all of Saturday. However, BEC work crew late into Saturday night, they were able to restore the electricity supply, bringing a normal way of life back to residents of Machutaninagua. For residents, they are all thankful that Tropical Storm Isaac did not come their way. Reporting for ZNS News, I am Julian Gibson.
Still to come in the Bahamas tonight, the bizarre crime this man is accused of. We'll tell you what the charges are coming up.